And on the 11th day, the sound mixer rested, and it was good. This is Corey, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 215 of the O The Anthem podcast. It is 9:14 p.m. Pacific. That makes it 12:14 a.m. Eastern. And O The Anthem is live from coast to coast, broadcasting from the beautiful hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles. Welcome to the program. We may have just had an earthquake, just so everybody knows. We're the first to report it.
It's the what was the one I just made up? Like, I think everything's an earthquake and other stories from LA.
Yes, basically, yeah. So that's what just happened. So if anybody else is watching, that may have been an earthquake.
Maybe, or not. Maybe it was
LA.
just a truck that
Could be.
drove by and shook the ground a little bit.
Could have been that.
That happens too.
But if you see the lights start to then that means...
I still remember that podcast we did. I can't remember. I think it was Nolan Reimold is my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Where there was like that super outrageous thunderstorm that happened like right when we were talking about like God stuff. It's just like God is very angry with us. Yeah. Sounded like death outside.
Yes. But not to skip over it, I know you guys can't get enough of the podcast. Where's the best place they can find more from the podcast, Corey?
Probably otheanthem.com or Facebook at O The Anthem and Twitter at O The Anthem and Instagram at O The Anthem and Google Plus if you're a masochist.
And of course, if you want to be part of the podcast, you can join us for the live stream. That's available sometime during the weekend between Saturday and Monday night on Facebook. Make sure you're following O The Anthem. Turn those notifications on. It'll let you know when we go live. And you can join us. You can be right in the chat here. We'll read out the comments from the chat. Or, of course, you can leave us at any point during the week. Whenever you listen, you can leave us a comment or a question at the listener line. That's 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
That's 443-219-7595.
Indubitably.
So you're wearing a particular kind of T-shirt right now, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the best place that we can start out this week is with a little sports ball. And since I care just about as much about the Capitals as I did, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and just take myself out of this equation. Go ahead.
Hello, Cavs fans. It's me again, Papa Corey. Yes, we won tonight. It was nice. We played exactly as well as we needed to win, and it felt good. But the ever-present fog is coming. The ever-present fog of potential dangerous consequences. Rachel and I were watching the end of the Caps game tonight.
Yeah.
And it was a minute 40 or something left in the game, and the Caps were up by 3.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, okay, so the Caps have this one locked down. I'm just like, we're never going to talk like that again. Not in this household, we're not.
You know why? Because that team needs to win a cup or kill me already.
Yes, very much so. Game 7, the most exciting event in sports, is going to be happening Wednesday, tomorrow, as you're listening to this. If you download it on Tuesday.
Wait. The most exciting event in sports is the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Washington Capitals, Game 7 of the semifinals.
No, the Eastern Conference Final.
Finals.
A Game 7 is the most exciting incident that is the most exciting you can build to.
A hockey Game 7.
Hockey Game 7s are way more intense.
Okay. I forgot. I'm stepping out. Go ahead.
Anywho, we need everyone to be rocking their red on Wednesday. We need positive thoughts. We need to not try and let the worst of our demons express themselves outwardly. And for God's sakes, I hope the Capitals win, because somehow it felt like if we got into the third round, if we got to the conference finals, it would feel better.
Yeah.
But no, I'm even more nervous than I was before. That tomorrow, just the worst is going to happen, or Wednesday, the worst is going to happen.
Yeah.
Though, if you're looking for reasons to believe, the Vegas Golden Knights, who are in the Stanley Cup, patiently awaiting either the Capitals or the Lightning, were 500-1 odds to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season. So if some hometown Vegas Knights fans decided to go down to the MGM Grand and put a joke $10 bet on a 500-1 Vegas Knights Stanley Cup win, Ooh. You're feeling pretty good about your life right now. Feeling pretty good about it. By the way, just out of curiosity, not because I imagined I was going to do anything about it, but tickets for on StubHub are only being listed at $1,000
In the door?
in the door. $1,000. Now, to be fair, there's only one ticket available, so I think it's the one person who's getting in early and putting up the high mark,
Right.
and like letting himself set the market before other people go in there. And
Sure.
But yeah, I'm
Not in?
I don't imagine I'm gonna spend $1,000 to go see the Caps in the Stanley Cup. It might be the only time in my life I'm able to do it, but I just couldn't possibly. How badly would the Capitals hurt me if I spent $1,000 on? I'm saying like
I've spent nothing thus far, so
I've spent like $100 to see them,
true.
and
Okay.
they've crushed me. Like I went to Vegas and saw them in Vegas and spent between the two tickets like $250 or something like that.
Yeah.
And was embarrassed in front of all the fine people of Vegas. I don't know if I can live through that sort of thing again. It's probably better to be in the couch, like in the apartment, on the couch, just not really on the couch, just pacing manically.
Right.
But
Wishing
like,
you could smoke inside the apartment.
yeah,
Going outside at every break.
yeah,
Yeah.
Every single time there's a reset in the period.
Mm-hmm.
But yes,
But
Game
just as
7.
a reminder, on Wednesday, you're going to want to rock the red.
yes,
And the best way you can do that is in this wonderful Win a Cup or Kill Me Already t-shirt. Corey is sporting it on his screen. You can also see the full image there. Win a Cup or Kill Me Already. And that, of course, is available at otheanthem.com and only at otheanthem.com. When you go there, click on the OTA merchandise or OTA store, whatever it says right now.
or just the image of the Win a Cup or Kill Me Already thing right on the post for this.
Another way you can get it. And I think you can get 2 days. Can you get 2 day shipping on the website?
I don't want to make any promises.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
just
you
say,
can.
go there and buy the shirt, and then
Do it right now.
Yeah, you should be able to maybe get it, or you'll get it just in time for the Capitals lose Game 7, and then
you can wear it unironically.
yes, completely unironically, yes. So I also see, Corey, that you are wearing an Orioles hat,
Yeah.
and the same fine
Just to cover
news,
up the bald spot.
the same fine news out of our Baltimore Professional Baseball League team.
No.
Yeah,
No. I was on set with a Yankee fan this week.
That's the worst.
And like the worst part about it is that the Yankees are so much less hateable than they have been in the past.
Yeah.
Have you found this too?
Well, it's not. There's not the Paul O'Neills. There's not the.
I liked the Paul O'Neills
like
though.
Paul
I mean,
O'Neill,
like
yeah,
that's the thing. Like I hated the late 90s, 2000s Yankees.
Gio Rodriguez's.
Yeah. Because that was an easy team to hate.
Yeah.
I mean, like Aaron Judge hasn't really done anything,
But existed.
and that's there's no like. He seems like a nice guy too, and I don't want to like just be like that motherfucker for no good reason. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like it's hard to like when a Yankee doesn't really have anything that like makes them hateable. It's hard to just manufacture things. Like
Just
I've never
the
been able to
pinstripe.
be like Brett Gardner, you bald-headed fuck or anything like that. It just feels like spiteful.
It's hard to hate him just because of the pinstripes.
Yeah.
But the home runs certainly do help us in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though, but like it's like one of those things like talent wins sometimes too.
Yeah.
So like when Mookie Betts hits like 3 home runs against the Orioles, I'm just like, he's a really talented player. That's what talented players do.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was an interesting story though I saw that was like, thank God for Mookie Betts to show us what great baseball players look like in an age where Mike Trout still exists. Just like, yeah, true. This is what they usually look like. Anywho,
So what's the Orioles record right now? I've completely stopped paying attention.
I don't know. I know they dropped 2 of 3 from the Red Sox this weekend,
So,
but I know they beat the White Sox tonight.
a little to a lot.
No, it was like 3-2.
No, I mean their record is a little to a lot.
Oh yeah. A little to a
I
lot.
think we're out of single digits though, so that's good.
Yeah, we're at like 14 or 15 wins, so
Yep.
we're coming up on 20. Like sometime by the end of
June.
we'll be at 20. So I'm not too worried about it.
And I think we're doubled up on losses easily.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so in
like
the 30s.
15 games back or something like that. Yeah,
All those
it's a depressing
prospects,
time.
those trade prospects are looking real sweet right now.
I'm just sort of like waiting for the inevitable of Machado to be traded and just doing the instant hot take of like reading 5 names that I've never heard of and be like, who are these fuckers? And like,
Yeah.
and then reading about like, I don't know if they came from like the Round Rocks or something like that, like looking at their stats in minor league baseball and going like, all right, this guy looks pretty good. See, people in San Antonio seem to like him, and
Yeah. I mean, he's no Machado, but we're getting 5.
he's
of
a
them,
favorite of the Peoria Cubs. So I'm feeling pretty confident that in 4 to 5 years he's really going to be an impact player for the O's.
Yeah.
If they do trade it to the Cubs, I would like. I've shown you this video before. The catcher for the Cubs, minor leaguer,
Yeah.
who always like finds the camera and stares at it.
Yes.
Yeah, I want that guy. I don't know. I can't imagine he's like a highly valued prospect.
Just
but,
for that? No.
But I just want him. I want to make sure that his career continues because he's so precious to me.
And we'll see a lot of him with the Tides. So,
Yeah.
all those times we get down to Norfolk and see games.
Yeah.
So,
At Harbor Park.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least it's not guaranteed rate field, which is where the White Sox play. I'm surprised. If I was a baseball announcer, if I was in the booth with Gary Thorne and I was doing color,
Yeah.
I would imagine that every single game at Chicago would start with Gary Thorne being like, "We're here in lovely south side of Chicago at Guaranteed Rate Park," and then I just interrupt with like, "It's the stupidest fucking name I've ever heard of in my entire life. How do you even say that with a straight face? How are you not laughing right now? It's stupid. They have a big dumb red arrow on the outside of their ballpark."
Doesn't the arrow point down
Yeah,
as well?
it's a big red down arrow on the outside of their ballpark. How do you okay that?
Oy.
I almost feel like too. It was like Home Depot wanted to get the stadium rights for like $14.9 million, and Guaranteed Rates like, we'll give you 15, and it's just like, well, we got to go with the extra dollar. We can't possibly leave anything on the table here.
Wait, we can't. We could go with a whole like home plate. Home Depot brings you the home plate.
Nope.
Building futures.
Nope. No. How could I possibly tell my shareholder of one that this that we left $100,000 on the table?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Anywho,
right. Well,
that's it for sports ball.
Here we go.
Real quick, we were going to talk about it up top, but we decided to launch right into sports ball instead.
We did. But I was going to say, if you'd let me transition.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to.
So I don't know if we seem a little low energy for you guys tonight. It is very late on a Monday night, a long Monday. Corey has been working for the last 11 consecutive days, right?
Yeah.
So it's been a long week for him. And for me, I haven't felt right since I got up at 4 a.m. to watch the royal wedding on Saturday. And it's just been a long weekend, and I just never got back on schedule, and then work came in. So.
And, writing all the Prince Harry blogs. And
oh, of course, yes,
yeah.
under all of my pseudonyms. Yes.
Right.
If you read a story about Prince Harry, it was probably written by me. So whatever.
Pennis Cockworth. Rob's English pseudonym.
Yes, absolutely. So I did want to touch on it just for a couple of points.
Marianne Prettyfeather.
Actually, that's not bad. You're really good at British pseudonyms. When I write my book of poetry, I'm going to have to get a pseudonym from Corey.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to touch on it briefly.
Reginald Buckwheat.
That one's not so good.
No, whatever.
I like Reginald Buck, but not Wheat, because buckwheat makes me think of buckwheat from Little Rascals. Anything else?
Reginald Buckstone.
Buckstone, I'll take that.
There we
sure,
go.
Yeah, that's a royal
that'll be
name.
Rob's. All nothing but teeth.
Reginald Buckstone.
Reginald nothing but teeth Buckstone.
But so I wanted to touch on the royal wedding only for one really small, a couple of really small issues. One, 29 million people in the States watched it, so it ranks somewhere between the NBA Finals, not a Game 7, and probably the hockey Game 7.
Maybe, yeah.
Tomorrow's Game 7.
If it was Tampa Winnipeg, then there would have been 29 people watching that. So it would have been 100 million times more, or 1 million times more people.
Yeah,
who watch the royal wedding. Just as a if you're looking for like a scale thing, like it's where one elephant weighs 4 Ford Explorers or something like that. Have you ever seen those things?
I don't think that's how that. I think it's one elephant would weigh as much as a Ford Explorer. It's like 2,000 pounds. Elephant weighs about 2,000 pounds. Yeah.
Why am I in charge of knowing what an elephant weighs?
We are off topic. The point of this is
very
that
sleepy.
29 people watched it, or 29 million people watched
29
it.
people.
But worldwide, it did numbers like Super Bowl numbers because, of course, everyone elsewhere cares. We just don't care.
Yeah.
So that's one good thing. Note number 2. good news for all you Americans who did watch it, because it took us 241 years, but we finally have infiltrated an American into the royal family. So now phase 2 of the War for Independence begins.
Take them back.
Oh, yes. Now we're going to invade them. That's what's going to happen.
See how they like it?
Yeah, here we go. You thought 1776 and 1812
Your
were
Navy
bad?
ain't looking so mighty now.
No, but
The Queen throwing corgis, like, stop this.
oh god, I saw a really good meme that was just like the Queen giving Meghan like this like weird look. I'm sure it's just like a random picture that was taken, but it was like
Just a random old lady look.
yes, when you're planning a car accident but you realize you've used that one before. Like, oh, come on guys, really too soon.
Too soon.
97. It's not that long ago.
21 years
The
ago.
candle's still blowing in the wind. I'm just saying. Come on.
That death can drink now.
Nonetheless, the one thing I really wanted to point out is this, that one little factoid I saw during this entire thing was that they spent $30 million, not on the wedding,
Yeah.
on security for the wedding and the wedding party.
Right.
$30 million. So probably about 15 million pounds sterling, but 30 million American dollars.
Which is really the only currency that matters.
Yeah, I mean, who cares about pound sterling? Or euros. I mean,
Yeah.
euros might be good, but it's probably about the same in dollars.
What do we live in Norway?
I don't know.
I don't got time for this shit.
But nonetheless, so they spent $30 million on that. Meghan Markle's dress cost approximately $800,000.
Really?
Yes. The Queen's dress, $1.2 million.
Meghan Markle's dress looks so plain. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
feel like you
expensive.
could have just bought that at Walmart weddings or
It's
something like that.
expensive to look that plain. They were both
Yeah.
designer dresses. So just those two things. There's another $2 million.
I can't
in
imagine.
dresses.
That's the other thing. Like, I sometimes I see a wedding dress and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's really good looking. I would, if I were a woman who was getting married, I would enjoy that style of wedding dress. And then there's times where I see people with like really ugly looking wedding dresses. And I'm just like, how do you even? I can't imagine that you like wrote a check for $800,000, gave it to the dressmaker, and you're just like, go ahead, Donatella Versace, just make me something I'll like. And then you have this big moment where the dress is done and they're going to like unveil it, unsheath it. And you look and it's just like a plain white dress with nothing on it. And you're just like, everything I ever dreamed.
Well,
That's the one.
don't worry, Corey. I'm sure that one day you'll get a chance to pick out your own wedding dress.
Only if it's Prince Harry. He's going to divorce that bitch.
But now, my point of all of this is this: that earlier this year, you heard us mention on the podcast briefly, very briefly, but that a young man named Alfie Evans. It had been decided that
I don't think we ever discussed this.
I just tried to discuss it and we kind of just glazed over.
Oh,
it
okay.
and went
I
on to
think
something
me and
else.
you just discussed it off
Maybe.
podcast.
It might have been that we discussed it in the pre-show meeting and then it never made it to air. But nonetheless, a young man named Alfie Evans, who is 2 years old, is a British subject, and it was decided by the National Health Service, which is the socialized medicine that provides free health care to everyone in England, that his life was no longer worth supporting. So they were going to no longer foot the bill for any more medical care. Now, I did a little bit of research in this before the show, and it turns out they went a little further than that. Not only were they not going to provide any more life-saving health benefits, but they were going to remove the basic ventilator care, intravenous food, everything from him, and just not pay for it. They were going to force him to die. Over his parents' objections, by the way, and the High Court in the UK said sometimes a parent doesn't know what's best for their child, which, okay, which is fine, I guess, because I think that there are some parents who really shouldn't be parents. I think in this case, maybe it's mistaken, but your buddy, Pope Francis, intervened and offered to fly Alfie from the UK to Vatican City to get him care at one of the best children's hospitals in the world. And the British court said, no, we will not give him a passport. He is banned from travel because his condition is not getting any better. So we need him to stay here. They took him off the ventilator and he started breathing on his own. They removed the intravenous fluids and started giving him regular fluids, and he stayed alive. And still, the court would not allow him to go somewhere else to get medical care. Because why? Because it would be too expensive on the taxpayers of the United Kingdom to continue to pay for Alfie's care. I just want you to put those two ideas together. It's too much to pay for saving the life of a 2-year-old who is in a semi-vegetative state but has shown signs of improvement, according to some doctors. Not too much to pay $800,000, $2 million for 2 dresses for one single day.
Yeah.
Because the queen ain't breaking out that lime green monstrosity again.
No.
Not her style. Meghan's not wearing that dress again. She's already been married once and divorced. She's not going to get married again. Or if she does, she's not going to wear that dress. The $30 million on security. But we can't keep this little boy alive for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And just let him die naturally.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I just don't like the idea of royals in general.
I agree.
So I mean, like the
we fought a war against that.
I mean the here or there about Alfie or security for the wedding kind of thing is like that's sort of 2 different topics.
No,
to be fair,
if you're going to have one though, shouldn't you have the other? Can't we spend a few $100,000 a year?
No,
to
because
keep
I
this
mean,
little
like
boy alive?
you're gonna pay security for the royal family regardless of whether or not there's a wedding.
True, but
I'm saying like if
No,
if the
because
queen decides to go to the airport and fly to Japan and meet with somebody, like meet with President Abe or something like that,
Right.
there's going to be security the whole way to the airport and to the travel to
for an official state trip. Yes, when the queen decides to throw a party that is not a state dinner, you know who pays for that?
the British people.
Okay, but the queen. She has a certain budget every year she has to pay out of.
Right.
You know
Where does that
wasn't?
budget come from?
Well, the British people.
Yeah.
But that's budgeted every year by the parliament.
Right.
Where did the money for the wedding come from?
From the British people.
But not out of the queen's budget.
Right.
They set a new special budget aside, which, by the way, they went over several times. They basically got a blank check because this is the last royal wedding that we're going to have in a generation. The next one will be one of William's children, most likely, who get married. So
3 to 4 years.
Yeah, well, boy king and whatnot. But no, royals are stupid. Having a royal family is dumb. I don't care if you're British and you don't like me saying that. It's ridiculous. There is nothing that is different between William and any other British citizen, despite the fact, other than the fact that Charles
inbreeding?
is his father.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth was Charles's mother. And what was his father's name? Damn it. What was
Philip?
Elizabeth? Philip is her husband, who was
Oh,
also
that's
a
right.
royal.
I can't remember.
Damn it. We watched many movies with him involved. They always just call him the king.
Yeah.
Whatever. He is a bloodline that traces back to the Earl of Windsor, who usurped the throne from the Tudors. That's why he is special. Because God chose him to be special. And because God didn't choose Alfie gets to die. Ironically, both Alfie's mother and George's mother, the youngest royal, or the second youngest royal, the next on the throne after William, both their mothers' names are Kate. But both Kate's children get health care paid for by the state. Only one of those children will the state order to die because he has medical problems. Because I guarantee you, if George came out to be a hemophiliac, which runs in the line of the Windsors, by the way, they would do anything they could to keep him alive for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
He would live a long and healthy life, despite the fact that it would be very expensive and very consuming on the public dole. But Alfie doesn't get that benefit. So, I've talked a lot about being a communist before, and that's the thing is if you're going to do socialism, let's do socialism. Let's not do this bullshit socialism where there's one rule for everybody except for this little cadre.
See, but this is the problem, and I back when Obamacare was still in its infancy, there was all the talk about death panels and stuff like that, and at what point is it not valued to be worth it and stuff like that. And I understand where that's coming from, but I also at the same time realize that if everybody wants to have some form of socialized medicine, fine, I'm on board. I will be of one to help pay for this service or people. But at the same time, you have to respect my abilities or my desires as a taxpayer, that if something seems untenable, and I'm not saying this particular situation was because I don't know all the details.
It's not.
But I'm saying if at a certain point we have to decide when a situation is deemed untenable, and then we have to be able to move on, or at least say to the family like, hey, you can pay for everything yourself. But
well, hey, how about a 92-year-old royal who is being basically kept alive by some of the best doctors in the world?
Yeah,
who's been on the throne longer than anyone in the history of a 2,000-year-old country.
Mm-hmm.
Lived longer, ruled longer than anyone else. Maybe we should pull her health care. Let her see how she does on some kind of vegan organic diet.
No, but I'm saying like to all the people who are like, like, oh, I want socialized medicine real quick. Understand that this story is coming to America if that happens too. I mean, at some point, some kid is going to be in a vegetative state, and they're going to say it's not worth it to continue to take care of this child. And meanwhile, the CEO of Walmart's child, who is dealing with the same exact thing, is going to be able to stay alive forever because they have the money to do so.
Right.
But this is just sort of the hard scrabble that comes with it. And I'm not trying to minimize the situation at all. I'm just saying that
are the taxpayers going to be paying for the Walmart child's health care?
In a sense, because they're going to pay for everyone's health care.
No, because they'll go get private doctors with their money.
Yeah.
So that won't be the people paying
Yeah,
for
but
it.
I'm saying like even if everyone had to be on the basic level of health care provided by the government, and then you could decide to pay for extra if you wish to, then you're still paying it in some small part to the basic minimum level of acceptable health care for the child who is the son of the Walmart CEO,
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean like you're still paying for it, even though in that case, the guy has enough money to pay for all the independent stuff that the government wouldn't cover, kind of thing.
I think if there's one thing we can spend money on, it's healthcare. Taking care of children really has to be a priority. Schools, healthcare, safety, all of these things should be priorities.
I agree.
And maybe, and listen, I would agree with you. But if one child, let's just say theoretically socialized medicine does come here. If we drop one bomb on one country that has nothing to do with us, that, as Dwight Eisenhower said, that every bomb made, every bullet fired, every warship put to float is taking bread out of the mouths of American children.
Let me put it this way real quick. Let's say that we knew your family wouldn't allow you to have the plug pulled on you.
Okay.
Like this has been discussed.
Sure.
And you pull me aside at some point and you say, hey, if I'm ever in a vegetative state and I'm never going to be able to get out of it, I know my family's not going to pull the plug. I need you to pillow me.
Okay.
I need you to just come in the middle of the night, suffocate me, and then move on. And I'm giving you the permission to do that right now.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest style.
Right.
Yes.
And then the day comes and you're in the vegetative state and you're laying there in the bed. And in your mind, you're just like, God damn it! I hope Corey doesn't actually pillow me because I can't talk about this anymore. I can't tell him that I really would like to stay alive. And then I come in and I pillow you. Then this is like one of the unforeseen consequences of saying something before, of coming to an agreement before the actual moment comes. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying, as a British person, when you agreed to your socialized medicine, you also agreed to, at a certain point, there's going to be a drop dead, not to use that term terribly, but I'm saying there's going to be a point where the government is not going to cover it anymore. And as part of the agreement that you made with that the government made on your behalf through your votes, you're going to be in that situation.
That's not the agreement that they made, though.
How is that not the agreement? There's nowhere in the law that says that this happens?
No. The hospital literally had to take it to court to stop paying, and the judges agreed.
So there was a judgment made. I mean,
but a single judgment made with a single example, because they don't have the same jurisprudence style that we have here.
Yeah, but again, that's not whose fault is it that you have a fucked up?
If it was your child,
no, I get it.
If it was your child, would you want them to end care?
If there was a chance that they could get better?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
But
so then that's it. What's good enough for one person's child, if it's good enough for George Windsor, then it's good enough for Alfie Evans. That's the way it works.
No, but I'm saying,
all
like,
equal.
There was the old things about, like, like in Saudi Arabia, you could have your hands chopped off for stealing.
Right.
I don't think that's an appropriate punishment for stealing.
Sure.
But I don't have to. I don't live in Saudi Arabia, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I live in a country where I know that the punishment for stealing is a certain amount of time based off a certain number of circumstances.
What color
based
are
off of, yes, but I'm saying like,
did you survive the arrest? How about that?
Yes, but I'm saying I at least know that there is a system in place.
Sure.
For that sort of thing.
Sure.
And different countries are going to have different rules about it.
I've just named two British subjects.
No, but I'm saying if one court decides that they're going to allow this to happen, much like, if we talked about the judge in the affluenza teen case.
Yeah.
Like if we have a system of government where courts decide these things, decide the judgment phase of these sort of things, and if the judge is going to say that this kid in particular, based off of the events of the trial, shouldn't serve any jail time, then that's the system we've worked ourselves into, and we have to live with the consequences sometimes.
Or we could form a mob and do what needs to be done.
Anyway,
and
royals are stupid.
To my British friends, I say, no gods, no kings, no slaves. Kill them all. Break out the guillotines. Let's end this monarchy. The Americans did it once. You can do it now.
Or we can just come over there and finish it for you.
I mean, we already started. Meghan is our first spy.
Yeah.
We're going to get a story about the bloodletting. It's going to be the red wedding inside of...
It's going to be like the queen's going to walk by and it's like, why are you texting all the time? And it's just sending information to the FBI.
I thought maybe she was on that show Suits. I'm sure she got some special training. Now she's in there just like...
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure she got
throats
special training.
She's cutting throats and killing corgis and all sorts of stuff.
Is that what they did in Suits? I never watched it.
I never watched the show. I kind of assumed it was a spy show, but
no,
as soon as I said that...
I think it's about business.
Oh, okay.
I think it's about somebody who owns a business or something.
I should have watched the show.
I think it's about a small haberdasher.
Oh, I miss the Barry haberdashery. Oh, other times. Anyway, so moving on to American politics.
Yeah. Wait.
Yay.
First, since we talked about our old place of living, I guess we should break into that a little bit further.
No, let's end with that. Let's end with that.
No,
good
let's
news.
start with that because that's more fun.
All right. So wait. So all right. Transition again.
Yeah.
Let's
so
talk about our old place of living.
Talk about our old place of living. Maybe,
How would we do that?
Maybe go on down to the Baltimore corner.
Ooh, where you get the straight dope.
Yes, indeed. And we didn't talk about it last week because we forgot, first of all.
Yes.
But then we also...
There was a lot.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah.
But we also thought, oh, well, this isn't earth-shattering news, but Daryl De Souza, the Baltimore Police Commissioner, was brought up on charges of not paying his taxes for several years.
It seems to be pretty common in the Baltimore schema.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, the junta. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were just like, all right, well, we could talk about that or not talk about it. And then he resigned because of this.
I'm almost glad we didn't, because we recorded on Monday and it was just like, it's not gonna be that big a deal, and we would have been like, whatever. And then the next day he resigned.
I probably would have said either this turns into a thing where he has to resign or he'll die in that chair. one or the other.
And we got one. Yes.
So, yeah, no more Daryl De Souza.
No.
Another sterling choice from Catherine Pugh.
Luckily, though, there is a clause in the contract that says they don't have to pay him the full $570,000 if you get indicted by the federal government.
Oh, good.
So,
good.
At least we won't have to keep paying him for the next 3 years.
Unlike all the other Baltimore police commissioners that we're paying for
Still getting
in
paid.
perpetuity, like Albert Bell.
They're going to have to start restructuring these things like Bobby Bonilla. Just like, all right, listen.
I'm going to give you $10 a year for the rest of your life.
But yeah, so De Souza resigned, and actually this Monday, today, appeared in federal court on the charges of tax evasion.
Yeah.
Where he's going to have to turn over his passport on June 7th, turn over all his weapons by Wednesday, and not travel outside the continental United States at all until trial. Because apparently it's a flight risk.
Oh, well. The thing that surprised me the most about this was that when it was announced, it was the tax evasion and other charges that the feds haven't brought up yet.
Yes,
so
which is pretty common amongst the feds. They will just charge you with something and then say, more's coming.
Yeah. But I'm kind of curious what the more's coming is.
I guess we'll see.
And I something tells me that there was a conversation between De Souza and Pugh after this thing happened, where it's like, why didn't you tell me that this was going to happen? He's like, I never thought it would come up. And it's just like, well, is there anything else I need to know about? And he's just like, baby did a bad thing. It's like, fuck, you got to resign.
Well,
I was going to stick with you, and then no. God damn it.
Well, I mean, luckily they did a lot of
God
extreme.
damn it, Daryl.
They did a lot of extreme vetting of De Souza, and
How do
clearly,
you not? Like,
one of the things I would ask for, tax returns for the
Yeah.
last 5 years,
Yeah.
maybe that would be a good thing to ask for.
I would ask just as a matter of principle, because you're the top cop in the city where there's a lot of corruption.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see, like, you know, like if there was anything unusual that was going on. And if you don't want to give it to me, then that's fine. You just don't have to be police commissioner.
Right. I mean,
That's-
listen, if your finances are in shambles, the last thing I want is some drug dealer to be able to be like,
And
hey.
That there's nothing illegal about that. I mean, I would do a background check on you, and I would be able to see if you like
Which, by the way,
had unusual financial history.
the not filing should have come up on a background check.
I mean, if I was gonna get a job at like, you know, Merrill Lynch,
Oh.
they would do a financial background check on me.
Yes.
They would
Yes,
know whether or not I didn't pay taxes at some point.
Yeah.
And
To be commissioner of police of Baltimore, to be fair,
I really think the other thing is the one that is the reason for the resignation.
though, how bad can it be? Because Daryl Souza has 3 bodies on him.
Yeah.
And they still appointed him police commissioner. And then this came out.
I don't know.
And she backed him. And then there's something else, and that thing might be the thing that caused him to resign.
Maybe it's more gun trace task force stuff.
Well, and it's interesting you bring that up because I don't know if you saw today, but there was a lawsuit filed today against the gun trace task force.
I saw something about it, but I didn't get the details. Do you want to fill me in?
So it is alleged that the Baltimore City Police, Daryl De Souza being named as the commissioner when it was,
Right.
when it was happening most recently, and the mayor and
Marilyn
Mosby, all had a civil conspiracy to hide the fact that they knew that the gun trace task force was was committing crimes. That was essentially a racketeering outfit.
Yeah.
And they hid that from people. And because they hid that from people, lives were in jeopardy. Basically, it was filed by a man who was falsely accused by the gun trace task force and spent some time in jail. And he's asking for $10 million. But basically, the allegations, as laid out, make a lot of sense. It's backed up by evidence that we've heard from here and there and everywhere. And it looks really bad for the entire city, unfortunately.
At the same time, Catherine Pugh is asking for assurances that she's allowed to sell out Baltimore to developers.
Yes.
Because that's a wonderful idea.
And I mean, she wants to get kids jobs, too.
Except that there's 4,000 of them that are willing and ready to work, and nobody's offering them any jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, at a certain point, I just don't know what to say to all my friends back home in Baltimore.
There's an episode of Futurama where they shrink wrap the city and then pick it up and throw it into the sun. And I'm thinking that maybe that might be the way to go.
I don't think we need that. You know, like when, like with the consent decree and stuff like that.
Yeah, which we're not following, by the way.
Right, but I'm saying, like, hypothetically speaking, the federal government comes in and says, you can't handle this on your own. You are not allowed to make decisions the same way you were before to some degree or another.
Yes.
And they make the terms of what you have to follow.
For Ferguson, it was you get to make no decisions anymore, and we're going to bring in people who are going to make those decisions.
Right.
I think Seattle had one that was we're going to bring in consultants that will help you change your SOPs, and then you'll be able to handle everything else.
Right.
So,
I think at this point, actually, I think it's Hogan's turn to sit in.
well, luckily,
And just be like, listen, y'all are done.
he started a task force to investigate. So Basically,
But I'm saying, like, at the end of the day, like, here's the problem. Some fucking hairdo is going to run for president or going to run for mayor in 3 years or whatever when Pew
or
when
less
Pew's
if she has
time
to
is
step
up.
down.
Well, I mean, then Jack Young just moves up. But I'm saying, like,
yeah.
at some point, we're going to have, like, you know, a person who was on fire versus somebody who, you know, communicates by licking people. And we're going to be like, well, these are the only two choices we have for mayor. And it's just like, no, just fucking demand somebody better run.
Yeah.
Or if you think you're better than those two people, you fucking run.
You do it.
You do it.
Yeah.
Really, there's so many people, like, you know, I'm not trying to nominate somebody from Twitter, but there's so many people I just read on Twitter who I'm just like, you have a better sense of what's going on than anybody who actually is in the city council. So why don't you run for something?
Yeah.
Why don't you do something about it? Because part of the problem is that everybody who's in there who just continues to get elected until the day they die or until they're, like, you know, found guilty of something.
Yeah.
It will live on forever. Like, Stephanie Rawlings Blake is making money as a consultant right now because people haven't run her out of town on a rail.
Yeah.
Literally out of town on a rail.
If you want, fair, I mean,
if you want to keep literally just fucking go down to City Hall, you and as many people as you can possibly get a bullhorn and scream at the office until Catherine Pugh comes out crying and then tell her to get the fuck out. Like, it's not like this is how it has to be done at some point. Like, you just like, oh, we made a bad decision. I guess we got to live with it. Fucking go down there and just say shit until she leaves.
To be fair, Stephanie lives in the county already. All right, so she's out.
She lived in the county before.
So you have to go out to the county to find her house. She never actually lived in the city. But I just want to.
She had a vacant of value that she lived in for running for mayor.
But just to be clear,
it was the Druid Hill Reptile House.
The DOJ is investigating the Baltimore police. The federal government, actually a different part of the DOJ, is investigating the Baltimore police. So we have the consent decree, the gun trace task force. I think that there's another federal investigation into the city itself, corruption scandal. We have the governor, who's now looking into the Baltimore police. We have the city, who's looking into the Baltimore police. And the city and the state bar, who's looking into the prosecutor's office.
Yeah.
That is 7 investigations into the city government. One of which is focused on Marilyn Mosby, the current state's attorney.
But I'm saying, like, let's play a game of, you know, De Souza resigns.
Yeah.
Pugh has to resign at some point, too, because she just proves that she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. You know, then you're stuck with all the people in the city council just doing the same old shit because nobody's going to fucking kick them out of office.
Yeah, when I start talking like this, you start telling me to tone it down a little bit.
I'm not
talking about guillotines on War Memorial Plaza.
Well, I'm not at that point.
Okay, well, come find me when you are.
See, here's the problem.
I wrote a screenplay about this, all right?
Yes, I understand. But I'm saying that for me, the first step is everyone has to agree this is bullshit.
Yes.
So as soon as everyone agrees this is bullshit, then you say to yourself, what's the next step? You ask them politely to stop.
Yes.
And then after you've gone a couple rounds with like, hey, I prefer that you not be so fucking awful and corrupt. And they go like, we're not awful and corrupt. You're awful and corrupt. Be like, oh, is that the way it is? And then you start making noise. That's when you get to the point where you're just like, I would like to speak to your manager and start making big like fucking shows out on the War Memorial Plaza until they shut the fuck up and leave. Like, and
or
if they
you
don't
shoot down a Baltimore helicopter.
If they don't, then you can start talking about other options. But I'm saying, like, at the very least, I feel like everybody just has like the constant undertone of this is bullshit just running through them, and I'm just like, all right, what are we gonna do about it? It's just like, well, I'm really busy on Tuesday. No, you don't give a shit. You don't care. If you really cared, you would do something about it. You would. I mean, like. Granted, as much as I can muster at this moment, being 3,000 miles away, is just calling Catherine Pugh a coward on Twitter, and like anytime she tweets something that I find particularly disgusting, I retweet it with comment. But like, I don't know. You all have to decide when it's been enough, and I'm just saying, like, remember the uprising and how like so many people took to the streets and expressed their anger with the system that didn't care about them?
Yeah.
It's still fucking happening. The only difference is that like, you know, like a cop didn't kill one person.
A bunch of cops didn't kill one person.
But I'm saying, but I'm saying like there was one event that caused that reaction to happen.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been like a one singular event that has caused the reaction that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But we just gotta just literally everyone just like anytime Catherine Pugh like says anything, just tell her to shut the fuck up. Like I wish we emboldened our news media a little bit more too.
So let's send Don Lemon back out there because that was a good idea.
I just feel like if Justin Fenton was allowed to just like shoot off the cuff like when interviewing people, like this would be so much better. Like if he's interviewing Catherine Pugh and she's just like, I want to let Legg Mason own half the city, he'd just be like, you fucking bitch. Like really that's your plan? People are fucking dying and you just want to give away half the city to Legg Mason for no good reason? They offered to give us crackers. No, fuck you. Resign today, please. By all means. It's like the same people with Trump. Like every single goddamn day I hear about some people going like, you're like, oh, did you hear Trump called Mexicans animals? And I'm just like, well, if you don't like it so much, fucking do something about it. Don't just bitch. We're all just sitting along, going down the stream of bitching, going like, oh, this will never end. I guess we have to live with it. No, fucking do something. If fucking 20 million people were in Washington, D.C., just standing outside of the White House, screaming and lighting things on fire, Congress would notice that sort of thing. From underneath their desk while they're watching the TV and hoping that we don't find them, but they would notice this. And then they'd say, we got to throw Donald out. If we don't throw Donald out, then they're going to come for us next.
Yep.
Marco Rubio is enough of a coward to know when the gun is going to be pointed at him next. So he's going to take care of the Trump problem. And all you people who think that electing Democrats is going to fix your Republican problem, it doesn't. Fucking look at, what's her fucking face? Pelosi. Like, she ain't going to fucking impeach the president. She ain't got those stones. You know what gives her the stones? A lot of fucking people making noise. If everybody is upset and everyone makes an issue about it, then we can change things. This is how the Boston Tea Party happened. Just fucking do something. Anything. Rant over.
I'm just gonna let you wind down. You got to run out of energy eventually. I know you're pretty tired. So
my left arm is numb.
Well, the one reason I brought up Mosby earlier is that one thing we did want to touch on is the fact that Common, an American rapper who you may or may not know, has agreed to do a concert for her as a fundraiser for her campaign, and is getting quite a bit of shit about it on social media.
Right.
And if this podcast finds its way to Common, I must ask Common, please do not.
I like to imagine that he just listens. Tuesday, we got to listen to the other podcast. Yes. It's like, oh, Common, come on. That again?
Man. Come on.
No, they know what's up. They speak to me.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do. Two whitest guys you know. Speaking to Common. But you should tweet at...
Come on, Common, sit down. Let's rap for a minute.
You should tweet at Common and let him know that he should not be doing a benefit concert for Marilyn Mosby. That although, as Corey pointed out, the last thing he probably heard about her was about charging the Baltimore Six.
Yeah.
That she fucked all those cases up.
Yeah.
Everybody walked. No justice for Freddie Gray. And then she's doing things like putting Keith Davis Jr. on trial again in like 6 days.
After 3 mistrials?
3 mistrials.
Yeah.
No.
2?
Yeah. And no, one of those was a guilty finding that was appealed and then overturned. So
okay.
Found him guilty, overturned, mistrial, still charging him. He's still incapacitated. He still has a bullet lodged in his neck. And she's still bringing charges despite the fact that
if
all
only
the evidence
fucking like Herschel was there.
Who?
One of the gun trace task force cops.
Oh god.
Like if Herschel was there, then he would just walk.
Yeah, of course.
It'd just be over.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't even think about it. He would just be on the street.
Well, just like the other 200 or whatever cases they've had to drop because of those guys were involved.
As another, just while we're talking about the state's attorney's race, and I'm not telling you who to vote for.
Ooh, I am.
But Ivan Bates has said that he's going to just let Adnan walk. So
and
if
also,
that's an important issue to you.
What else is he not doing?
prosecuting marijuana cases?
Any marijuana
Yeah.
cases. He will not be prosecuting any marijuana cases, nor will he pursue anything against Adnan. In fact, he will stand up against Thiru if he tries to continue the case with the state. And he will file a amicus brief with the state Court of Appeals that says that the Baltimore City, is a position of the Baltimore City prosecutor's office that the case should not be pursued.
Did we ever talk about Kamenetz?
For that particular office?
No, I'm saying the death of Kamenetz. I don't feel like we talked about that.
We mentioned it
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we mentioned it when it happened.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
Scary. I mean, Corey's almost his age. Kamenetz was in better shape.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Any day now.
Yep. But you saw that old man. If you follow Corey on Twitter at LegendCB5, you'll find that at the bottom of his screen there.
Mm-hmm.
You would have seen that tweet already, where he said he's going to live to 80 because he saw an 80-year-old man
buying sushi and 7-Eleven sushi and cigarettes.
And clearly, your diet has led to a long age for this man.
Yeah.
What you didn't know is that guy just finally reached the end. And he's like, all right, I don't know what it's going to take, but let's try this. Cigarettes and 7-Eleven.
I've been trying to drink myself to death for the last 80 years, so I guess it's now on to 7-Eleven sushi.
Yes. But yes, sad news about if we didn't talk about it. I think we did.
Okay.
Kamenetz, who is the
was the
Baltimore
Democratic front runner for the governor.
Yes, and who's now been replaced by his female lieutenant governor on the ticket, and she has chosen a member of the Baltimore City Public Schools.
Yeah, I think so.
Who's also female. So now we have 2 all-female tickets in the Democratic governor's race, which is amazing. Maryland is a completely progressive state.
But still going to lose to the moderate Republican.
Probably still going to lose to Hogan, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're going to beat each other up in this primary and then lose to Hogan in November, unfortunately. Yeah. So
the problem is that you don't have anybody. I mean, like, not to speak ill of the dead, but I don't think Kamenetz was really like popular enough to really take on Hogan.
I think he would have been. I think if Hogan made some mistakes and like attacked him.
I mean, like, I obviously, like, I can't predict how it would go, but I mean, like, Hogan's pretty close to the vest, and he doesn't really cause trouble. So,
Kamenetz, though, is a moderate Democrat. It would have been a moderate Democrat versus a moderate Republican.
Right.
2 guys with families. You know, I think it would have been a much closer race than if you're trying to run an all-female ticket on the Eastern Shore or Western Maryland.
I think at this point, I've just come to it. I think at this point we just need to draft John Waters as mayor of Baltimore.
Okay.
And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Because he seems to have a pretty good sense of right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten away this long with being a quote-unquote perverse person.
Yeah.
While not getting in any kind of fucking trouble whatsoever.
Nope. Perverse behavior.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it's just the words that he speaks.
Yeah.
But most of the times, the words he speaks are insightfully brilliant.
Yeah.
So why don't we just let him have a crack at it? I mean, it literally can't be worse than Catherine Pugh, who is essentially a log that learned how to give money away to big business. Like, she's essentially a Republican, too. By the way, I don't know, like when we were talking about Hillary, how Hillary is essentially a Republican.
Yes.
And just because she's got the D next to her name doesn't mean that she is a Democrat. Like, Catherine Pugh is more bought and paid for than almost any other. I mean, like,
some of the Republicans might have been more moderate than Catherine Pugh on the developments and giving away stuff.
They probably wouldn't have signed on for like a Harbor Point kind of thing.
No.
Like, they wouldn't have just agreed to give that money away.
Especially the TIF.
Yeah.
They would definitely not have agreed to the TIFs.
No, not so. Anyway.
Yeah, nonetheless. So maybe vote for a Republican, Baltimore, see what happens.
Can't get worse.
Yeah. Speaking of voting for Republicans, we did last November. Although a lot of you did. We did not.
Yeah.
You guys, some of you did. And you put him in the White House, and now we're forced to deal with this every single week. What is the conspiracy / gate du jour? What's the gate du jour, Corey? Well, okay, we really have to say du jour because it really is by the day.
It's almost by the hour.
Yeah, that these things are coming out. But
so we found out last week that there was Michael Cohen had used Essential Consulting LLC, the business that he formed to pay off Stormy Daniels, to also receive money from other people who were interested in hiring him for his lobbying services, which was essentially I have Trump's phone number.
Yeah.
Um,
And we know he takes personal calls before he takes anything else.
right.
Yeah.
And there was some money. We found out about some of the money that was on a suspicious incident report or something like that. What the banks send to the Treasury in case there's something that seems a little bit off about, like, if like tomorrow out of nowhere you just deposited $1 million cash into your account.
Like, that's weird.
That's weird.
He's
That's
been
unusual.
overdrafted a couple times the last couple
Yeah.
of months.
It's weird that he had that kind of cash.
Yeah.
So we are just going to write up a quick report and send it off to the Treasury just to make sure that when tax time comes, he is reporting that income.
Right. But turns out that there was one report that was leaked, if you will.
Yeah.
And it was leaked to get attention to the fact that 2 or more other reports had been deleted
Yeah.
from the Treasury Department. So that those amounts were
apparently-
even bigger.
Yeah, it was like $6 million between those two accounts or something like that.
Yeah.
And the accounts involved a lot of Middle Eastern interests, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Israel. So lots of people who were trying to get Michael Cohen's consulting services, and we don't know the details about it because it has been stricken from the database.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it could have been stricken by Bob Mueller.
Could have
It's
been.
just like, I don't want people talking about this.
I'm going to take this, and then we're going to wipe that.
Please don't let anybody know about this. Thank you very much.
These are not
Mueller
the
out.
droids you're looking for. But luckily, that was the end of the claims of buying access this week.
No.
By
By the way, we talked about this somewhere around inauguration.
which would have been, if you're keeping count, January of 2017, more
Yeah.
than a year ago. Yes.
That the Kushner family was in real bad financial straits.
Yes.
They were in debt, like to the tune of like $600 million or something like that. I don't remember the exact number. But
A lot of that in a single building in New
lot,
York City.
a lot of money
Yeah.
in debt, and the bills were coming. And now apparently they don't have to worry about that because somebody in Qatar decided to basically loan all the money to the Kushners and
Weird.
allowing them to keep things on the straight and narrow. So
Weird.
they have enough money to bail out the Kushners, but they don't have enough money to keep people from dying of being overworked and flown in from
While building the 2022 FIFA World Cup.
which they also got by bribing FIFA officials.
Yes.
So
But luckily,
anytime you hear the word Qatar, just assume there's a bribe
Yes.
somewhere associated with it.
luckily though,
A bribe or a death of somebody who's poor. It's one of the two.
luckily that was the only news of attempted bribes this week coming out of the.
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry. Yeah. What was the other one?
Shit. What was it?
So alternating, there were 2 Middle Eastern countries.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates, who were sending money to 2 different people within the administration, arguing for the United States to take a different position on something. I think that detail might have gotten lost in the story I read. But basically the argument is they were offering more money and basically bidding each other up to get the Trump administration to do what they wanted. So these 2 countries who have mostly the same interests, but on some one issue,
I mean,
it was different.
there was a meeting, an additional meeting at Trump Tower that involved Don Jr. with Saudi Arabians.
Yes.
So, I've been thinking about it a lot the last 2 weeks here with like just the influx of like all the news.
Yeah.
And I know like we were watching the circus last week and they were talking to Trump people on the ground and it's just like, this is all just a big misunderstanding and ain't nothing and blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. I'm just like, why is the noise worth it? I mean, like, I remember I was a fan of Lost Prophets way back when. And then I heard that Ian Watkins was being charged with really, really horrible, heinous things.
Yes.
And my ability to enjoy them ended pretty quickly. I did, like, sort of toe this line, though, between, like,
Well, it's an allegation. It's not
I mean, until he's found guilty, I don't know if I can really like.
Then he admitted it.
No, he didn't admit it, but I'm saying
Was
like
he found guilty?
he was found guilty.
Yeah, 'cause he's in jail now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like he didn't ever go like I did it. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. He was just found guilty. But like, you know, as soon as the guilt was out and I got all the evidence that was in the trial that I heard later, I was just like, oh, well, thank God I wasn't like 100% in defense of him. Like, thank God I didn't come on the podcast every single week going like, how the fucking Welsh are railroading Ian Watkins is ridiculous, and I can't believe it. Y'all are sheep. You're all falling for it. They're trying to get him. Like,
and you get on, you're like,
yeah. So everything that I said about Ian Watkins, let's just forget I ever said it, because apparently it's, even though the evidence was kind of right in front of me the entire time, I chose not to listen. So,
and that's basically what Trump followers are doing.
I mean, I just feel like at some point, like the worst part is going to be the when this all is said and done, like when Mueller has the press conference, probably after the midterms,
yes, and
just drops like 15 books worth of legal papers on the dais, and he's just like, all right, let's talk here a second. Mueller here got things to say, and then he just runs through the case against and all the charges that he plans to bring, or whatever, however he plans on doing it. We're going to go like, holy shit, like, because he knows things that we couldn't possibly ever begin to know.
Yep.
And he's going to drop all of this on us at some point, and the Trump people are going to still be like, he didn't do it. This is just a witch hunt. Deep state. Everybody is.
Even Jeff Sessions is in a deep state now.
He's got Stockholm syndrome from the deep state people. Like, it's like y'all never seen Jeff Sessions before. He's been the same exact person for 300 years. Like,
well, elves do live a long time, I suppose. But besides that, off of Mueller, because we don't know, but I agree with you. I think that it's become clear that he's waiting until after the midterms to do anything. He's been very quiet. I mean, hasn't acknowledged anything.
The big reason why I'm so sure he's going to wait till after the midterms is because of the number of Republicans, both in the House and the Senate, and Giuliani, who are trying to get a firm wrap-up date.
Yeah.
And he apparently Mueller's team had said something to Giuliani that he construed as this will all be over on September 1st.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's an actual...
It's in the zone.
I think he said if Trump sits for an interview, it could be by September 1st.
Yeah. But we know that's not going to happen. So.
Yeah, but I think he's just waiting for the midterm, see what happens.
Yeah.
And see how warm the ground is for his eventual news conference.
And I mean, I think he'll do whatever after the after the midterms. He's going to do whatever he's going to do. I think though he's hoping for a friendlier audience for the articles.
Yes,
if that happens. But luckily for us, despite all of this bad news that's happened this week, the president went out there. He acknowledged all of his faults. He acknowledged all of the hullabaloo that had surrounded it, and he said, "You know what? We need to address this right now. This is a problem."
I'm afraid people who are listening to the audio version of this podcast can't hear my head shaking back and forth, but no.
Unfortunately, he did not.
No. In fact, on Sunday, how did he start that tweet? Like, I hereby decree or some sort of kingly shit.
I will officially, on Monday, I think he said, I hereby decree, and on Monday I will officially request that the DOJ look into allegations that the Trump campaign was infiltrated by members of the FBI, which means he's ordering the Department of Justice to look into the FBI and whether or not they were investigating his campaign for allegations of being bought or collusion with Russia, which seems to be substantiated by other evidence that we've seen thus far, which might be concluded under any logical summation to be obstruction of justice. However,
usually ordering that the Justice Department look into a political enemy for your own personal gain is kind of it's kind of a gray very sure line of obstruction of justice, but
Especially when you
I didn't go to
so-
law school or nothing.
When you do so seemingly to intimidate that entity to stop looking into the things that they are looking into.
Yeah, here we go. I hereby demand, and will do so officially tomorrow, that the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI/DOJ infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by people within the Obama administration.
By the way, I love how he says, I hereby demand. One, not understand that hereby means by this thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And Twitter has no political significance whatsoever.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Though apparently they did
make the request.
on
Monday.
They took it as his directive.
Which apparently you have to, because now we have to assume that Twitter is the way by which the president speaks to members of his cabinet and the heads of departments and gives orders to the administration. So that's the world we live in. But yes, when an executive orders the Department of Justice to look into the FBI, a political enemy, in order to get that political enemy to stop doing the investigation that they're doing, one might say that is obstruction of justice. However, I have come to know over the last year that I don't understand what obstruction of justice is clearly, because otherwise someone would have been charged with it already. A lot of people would have been charged with it already.
I really just think that Congress isn't going to do it.
Nope.
The Senate's not going to do it.
Nope.
And nobody at Justice is going to step on Mueller's footsteps. So
they're just going to let him play it out.
They're just going to let him play it out, and I think that Mueller just wants to wait it out a little bit, wait for friendlier seas.
So for any of you who've ever played golf, you got the head of the country club is in the foursome in front of you. You're not going to ask him to play through.
No.
One, you don't want to embarrass yourself if you were to misplay in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you don't want him to feel like you're rushing him to get to his conclusion. So
right.
We all stack up and wait to see what he does on this next tee. So
we just take a little bit of extra time getting down the fairway, give him time to play ahead of you kind of thing.
Yes.
And you'll just always be behind him until eventually he finishes. I would like to state again for the record, we talked about it last week and lead up to the net neutrality vote in the Senate.
Yes.
And good
Which is the
news.
last point for this week.
Good news. The Senate did decide to, through the Congressional Review Act, overturn the FCC's decision on net neutrality.
Yes.
Which means that we only have the two impossible steps of getting the House to overturn it.
Yes.
And then Trump.
Convince the president somehow to sign it.
Unless we have a veto proof.
Which we do not.
No.
Yes.
But positive first step. But also, like I said last week, anybody who voted for it, dead for me forever. Mm-hmm. So people who just ran for president most recently, who will never get a vote for me ever, regardless of what you were running for or who you are.
A name that we actually heard you support during the 2016 campaign.
Which one?
Rand Paul.
Oh, yes. Rand Paul, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, all dead to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't quite gotten into it yet, but I'm ready to throw some more names on the list too from the House.
Sure.
With the
Freedom Caucus people?
No. The many Democrats who voted for the additional punishments for people who kill cops.
Oh, yeah.
Law that went through. Where like an outrageous number of Democrats voted for it because none of them give a fuck about what you care about.
Yeah, and it wasn't very public. It wasn't the thing that was in the news, so they felt they could get away with it.
Right, but
yeah,
I'm gonna go through all that too at some point, and I'll make an official judgment. But I'm saying there's probably a whole bunch of Democrats who are just never gonna get a vote for me again because they decided to go with this one.
Oh, wait.
I mean Republicans too, but I'm just saying.
How about the Freedom Caucus members who blocked a farm bill that feeds millions of people?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get an immigration judge who basically agrees with Trump that immigrants are animals appointed to the court. So,
it's like this at the end of the day with all the conversations that we've been having between Trump and Pew and everything like that. It's fun to be on a team. It's fun to root for a team. Like it's fun to be a Capitals fan right now because they're in a moment where they could potentially go to the championship.
Yep.
And I live and die with them. But my ability to root for this team without any kind of bias is tough. If Tom Wilson hits somebody and gets suspended for 3 games, I, no matter what, am going to think, that's bullshit. How dare they?
Yeah.
And if I was a Penguins fan, I'm sure I would watch that and go like, how dare they not throw him out of the league forever?
Yeah.
Because you have bias into it, and it's fine. If you are essentially a Republican and you agree with the Republicans most of the time, and you would want them to vote the way that they usually do, because you're a part of that team or a part of that tribe, that's fine. But I think deep down inside of all of us, we know the things that we know are right and wrong, and we don't necessarily want to step on the toes of the party that we're a member of.
Right.
So we sit on our opinions and don't say anything about it. But we now have the opportunity to start electing people who aren't necessarily part of a party, but just real people who have opinions that may differ with a party.
Yeah.
It's much like a fucking Democrat in West Virginia, the senator Manchin.
Oh,
Joe Manchin is the Democratic senator in West Virginia, and he essentially is a Republican. He votes with the Republicans most of the time.
Yeah,
but he also believes in some Democratic stronghold messages like gay marriage and
he's a blue dog
right.
Democrat.
Yeah, blue dog Democrat,
socially liberal.
Financially conservative, yeah.
Yes.
But, for the Democrats of West Virginia, that actually might work for them more because it's more of a conservative area of the country. I just think that it's time that you stop thinking about things in terms of like whether or not they're a Republican or a Democrat, but whether or not the decisions that they're making are right or whether they are wrong and whether or not we should do something about it. So don't say, I'm a Democrat, so Catherine Pugh is going to get a pass from me. No, say Catherine Pugh is doing a fucking horrible job.
Yes.
Don't say, I'm a Republican or whatever the fuck Trump people are, and say that I'm a member of this tribe and therefore have to vote for him.
Yeah.
No. You don't have to agree with everything he says out of hand. And the number of people who were like, just like, well, of course, when you're rich and famous and you grab people by the pussy, that's just sort of one of the benefits of being rich and famous. It's like, no, you wouldn't. If your son, if you got called into the principal's office and they said your son just was grabbing women by the pussy, you look at him and you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you?
Those exact words.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And then if he looks back, he's just like, they let me get away with it.
I don't give a
fuck. That's not right. Don't do that.
Yes.
Anywho,
but the most important of these things is that if your congressman
start making up decisions for yourself,
and if your congressman votes for or votes against net neutrality, they need to be out.
Yes.
Democrat, Republican, independent, does not matter.
Yeah.
They need to be out.
I don't care if they did your bris. They gotta go.
Gotta go. That time's over. The time for fucking around is over.
Yeah.
Net neutrality is the issue.
And not only that, but I mean, like, I've made this decision many times along the way. I decided I wasn't going to vote for Dutch Ruppersberger ever.
Yeah.
When he was the co-signer of the National Defense Authorization Act, which gave away all of your rights.
Yeah.
And I was really upset about at the time and talked about a lot on the podcast. I was in Dutchess District not too long after that, voting in elections where I was not voting for him. And I was, it was tough knowing that I was voting for somebody who was going to lose, but at least I was able to hold my head up high.
I didn't vote for him.
Yep. Because he wronged me. And soon enough, if he wrongs enough people, then he won't be in office anymore.
Theoretically.
Theoretically.
If you all live by this standard.
Or he will fucking die in that seat because you all are cowards and you like your tribes and that's it.
Yes.
So.
I feel like we'd like to have people join our tribe. Where could they do that?
Well, probably the best place if I were to make a list. OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. And you can find more of me at CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, at LegendCB5 on Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, and Corey Baker Film on Facebook. I know there hasn't been any new reviews recently. It's because I've been on set every single day. But I'm going to go see the Avengers tomorrow, whether or not other people decide to join me. is completely up to them, and I will have a review for that shortly thereafter.
And you can't really blame him if you're working on set.
Yeah.
And other stories, right?
I mean,
there's
12-hour days. It's tough to find the time when you're working 12 hours a day.
And of course, there is a blog on CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com
Yeah.
where you'll be able to make a post about what it's like to have 11 consecutive days of work on 3 or 4 different sets.
Yeah. And I'm not quite ready to talk about all the details yet because I haven't figured them all out. But I'm gonna do a little special something here coming up soon.
Ooh, special something
That will involve both CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com and O The Anthem. So
excellent. So we'll
keep
look
an
forward
eye
to
out.
that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And of course, you can find more from me.
And this is the first Rob's hearing about it, so he's gonna be like,
That's
"What
me
the?"
too.
When we go outside to smoke, he's gonna be like, "What the fuck are you getting me into?"
But you can find more from me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Of course, you can check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to the political blog, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir. And of course, if you want to support me and everything that I'm doing, you can do that at patreon.com, patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, where you can get links to early copies of screenplays that only people like him get to see, where you can find poetry, because that's what I do now, apparently, and back behind-the-scenes videos, all kinds of videos, early access to anything I do online. All that's available at patreon.com. And I'd like to repeat that for all of you who then gave me shit this week because I said something about it last week, I'm saying something about it again, which is if any of you went out and supported the things instead of talking shit to me and saying, hey, oh, welcome back. You're coming back to Maryland. No, I'm not. I'm not coming back to Maryland. Help support me. Do that instead. Spend $1 a month on Patreon just to say, hey, I'm backing you.
Or buy a book. Like,
buy a book. They're all good. The books are good. Anyway.
And sometimes it's as easy as like a share or something like that, or a retweet.
That's another thing too. Really, all you have to do is we are very active on social media. Share an Instagram post, share a Facebook post, share this post with this live stream. This will be up and on Facebook. Share that. When you see the YouTube video up on Tuesday, share that.
And I'm not saying you don't have to do it every single time blindly.
You do. You really do.
I'm not asking you to just follow the tribe blindly, but I'm saying like,
let's pretend we're in a fucking tribe. How's that?
If I'm talking about the Orioles and I'm talking about like, oh, I can't wait to get that guy who always looks directly into camera from the Cubs, and you're just like, I remember that guy. It's hilarious. Share. Just do us that, or like it, or something. Because it all matters. It all helps.
Well, anyway.
Anywho, I think we've done good here today.
Right up until the end there. I think we've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Viva la revolution.